What's up, everybody?
Welcome to another Learn with Hatty.
Ever since I started learning and collecting crypto, I've always wondered if I ever get enough and hold on to enough and save enough, if something happens to me, how do I make sure my family gets my crypto? It's going to be hard siphoning through all of my seed phrases. So it had me kind of searching the internet and searching different projects. I came across a project on the Cardano blockchain called GenWealth. And in this video, we're going to talk about it and explain why I think projects like this are so important.
Learn with Hatty, break the chains, digital world running through my veins.
What if I told you that over the next 20 years, somewhere between 84 and 124 trillion dollars is about to move from one generation to the next? That's not just money. That's not just a number on a spreadsheet. That's generational momentum. That's the entire wealth that the baby boomer generation accumulated. Basically, the entire product of post-World War II economic expansion, moving into the hands of Millennials and Gen Z. And here's where it gets really interesting. The people who are about to inherit that money, they think about assets completely differently than their parents do. They're 3 times more likely to hold crypto. They understand digital-first finance. They're skeptical of traditional institutions. And when you put that psychology together with 84 to 124 trillion dollars, you're looking at a fundamental reset in how money actually moves around the world. But here's the problem that literally nobody is talking about. Right now, we don't have good infrastructure for that. We have trading platforms, we have yield farming, we have speculation. But we don't have the tools to actually preserve generational wealth securely. And we definitely don't have the tools to pass it safely to the people we love. But this project I'm about to talk about is about to change that, I think. I want to talk about what's actually happening in finance, why it matters to you specifically, and I want to introduce you to a project on the Cardano blockchain called GenWealth that I've been watching incredibly closely because I think it might become critical infrastructure for this entire shift. So stick with me. I think this is going to be worth your time. Let me start with the big picture, because you need to understand the context before you can understand anything else. For the last 50 years, basically since the end of World War II, the financial system has worked the same way. You have gatekeepers. You want to invest? You go through a broker. You want to borrow money? You go through a bank. You want to buy a house? You go through a real estate agent and a mortgage lender. You want to leave your assets to your kids? You hire a lawyer and you pay thousands of dollars for an estate plan. Every single financial transaction flows through some kind of intermediary. And every intermediary takes a cut. They add delay. They add complexity. They add cost. And we accepted that because for most of human history, that was actually necessary. Information moved slowly. Trust was expensive. You needed institutions to verify things and maintain records. But everything is different now. We live in a world where information moves at the speed of light. We have technologies like blockchain that create permanent, transparent, verifiable records. We have cryptography that lets you prove ownership without needing someone else to validate it. The entire foundation that the traditional financial system was built on is basically gone. And what's happening right now is the financial system is being rebuilt from scratch using these new tools. Not all at once, not tomorrow, but it is definitely happening. You're seeing it in bits and pieces. You're seeing it in crypto trading. You're seeing it in DeFi platforms. You're seeing it in institutions starting to integrate blockchain. It's happening slowly enough that traditional finance doesn't see it coming, but it's happening fast enough that if you're paying attention, you can see it clearly. The Great Wealth Transfer is the event that's going to accelerate this. Because when $84 trillion moves into the hands of people who are already thinking in digital terms, people who already understand crypto, people who are already skeptical of traditional institutions, they're not going to rebuild the old system. They're going to build something completely new. Let me give you some actual numbers to make this real. There are currently 241,700 crypto millionaires in the world. Not billionaires, millionaires. People who have over $1 million in crypto assets. And that number is growing every single day. Now imagine that over the next 15 to 20 years, some of those people pass away. Their crypto goes to their kids. Their kids don't go back to stocks and bonds. Their kids already understand how to use decentralized platforms. Their kids already understand how to manage their own wallets. The wealth just stays on-chain, and suddenly you have multi-generational crypto wealth. You have families whose net worth is entirely in digital assets. That's not speculation. That's not me just making it up. That's demographics. That's generational transition, and that's happening right now. And the surveys back this up. 72% of Millennials and Gen Z believe that traditional stocks and bonds alone cannot deliver above average returns anymore. They're not being irrational. They've watched the last decade. Bitcoin went from basically nothing to over $100,000. Cardano went from less than a penny to multiple dollars. Traditional index funds, they've been pretty flat. Why would you put your money into something that you think will underperform? So the institutions know this is coming too. They're not fighting crypto anymore. That battle is over. Now they're integrating it. Banks are starting to offer crypto custody. Family offices are building crypto strategies into their wealth management services. The SEC approved Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs. Regulatory frameworks are actually becoming clearer, not murkier. By the end of this year, 2026, DeFi is expected to exceed $300 billion in total value locked. That's up 130% from where we are right now. This isn't some fringe movement anymore. This is becoming infrastructure. This is becoming how money actually moves. And here's what's wild. We've solved so many problems in crypto. We've solved trading. We've solved speculation. We've solved yield farming. We built entire ecosystems around DeFi. But we haven't solved one of the most basic human needs. We haven't solved how to leave what you've built to the people you love. We haven't solved inheritance. We haven't solved what happens when you die and your family tries to access your crypto. That's what I thought, at least, until I found this project. GenWealth is actually trying to fix this problem, and I think it is genius. Before I talk about the solution, I need to talk about the problem, because the problem is bigger and more urgent than most people realize. Roughly 20% of all Bitcoin in existence is permanently lost. Not traded away, not sitting in cold storage waiting to be moved, permanently lost. We're talking about approximately $140 billion worth of digital assets that are locked away forever because people forget passwords or lost seed phrases or wrote down recovery codes on a piece of paper, then the piece of paper got thrown away. This isn't theoretical. This isn't hypothetical. There's literally a guy named Stefan Thomas, and Stefan Thomas has over $800 million in Bitcoin, but he can't access it. He wrote down his passwords on a piece of paper. He lost the piece of paper. He has maybe 2 guesses left on his Iron Key hardware wallet before everything gets encrypted permanently and he loses access forever. $800 million. Gone. Locked behind the password you can't remember. Man, imagine that. And Stefan's story is just the extreme version of a problem that millions of people face every single day. People die without their families knowing how to access their crypto. People lose seed phrases that they've been holding for 5, 10, maybe even 15 years. People accidentally throw away hardware wallets. Every single day, billions of dollars in digital assets are evaporating into the void because we don't have good infrastructure for continuity. This is where it gets serious. Van Eck estimates that $6 trillion in crypto assets will pass through the inheritance process over the next 20 years. $6 trillion. That's not a small number. That's not something we can ignore. And right now, we don't have a solution for that. We have nothing. We have no frameworks. We have no legal structure. We have no secure process that actually works. So what happens in reality? Rich people try to manage it themselves. They share seed phrases with family members, which absolutely destroys the security model of crypto. The whole point of self-custody is that you're the only one with access to your money. But if you share your seed phrase with your spouse or your kids so they can inherit your crypto, now there are multiple people with access to everything. Someone could steal it, someone could get hacked. You've completely undermined the security. Other people try to work with custodians. They hand their crypto over to some financial advisor or a company and say, you manage this and make sure my kids get it when I die. But now you're back to the traditional finance model. You're back to trusting institutions. You're back to the thing that crypto was supposed to solve in the first place. And some people just don't make a plan at all. They bet that they'll live forever. That bet never pays off. Here's the real problem though. Traditional inheritance is already broken. And we're not even talking about crypto. When you die and leave assets to your family, the typical inheritance process consumes between 3 and 10% of the estate just in execution costs. Lawyers get involved, executors get involved, probate happens, taxes happen. It takes months, sometimes years. It's expensive, it's slow, and it's painful. And that's just regular assets. When you add crypto to the mix, nobody knows what they're doing. There's no legal framework. There's no court precedent. There's no standard process. Families are literally making it up as they go. And usually they're making it up badly. And here's the hidden truth that people don't talk about enough. Self-custody is absolutely amazing for security while you're alive. Nobody can freeze your account. No government can restrict your access. No corporation can take your money. You have complete control. But self-custody has a massive vulnerability. It's terrible for continuity. If you die and nobody knows your password, your crypto is gone. If you lose your seed phrase and nobody else has access, your family doesn't inherit anything. Self-custody is perfect for individual level, but it's terrible for family protection. That's the paradox. For the longest time, we had to choose. Either you use a custodian and sacrifice severity, or you keep self-custody and sacrifice the ability to pass your wealth to your family. Those were the only two options. And that's a terrible position to be in. That's exactly why I've been watching GenWealth so closely. Because GenWealth is actually solving this paradox from first principles. So what is GenWealth? Here's the basic idea. GenWealth is a decentralized application built on the Cardano blockchain that solves the crypto inheritance problem using smart contracts. And I know that sounds technical, so let me break down what that actually means in real-world terms. GenWealth is not a custodial solution. You're not handing your assets to a company. GenWealth is not a wallet replacement. It's not something you have to move all your crypto into. What GenWealth is a smart contract that lets you define rules for what happens to your crypto after you're gone. Think of it like a self-custody will. But instead of a lawyer holding your wishes and hoping they execute correctly, smart contracts handle it automatically, transparently, and trustlessly. There are two core features. The first one is inheritance, and that's the obvious use case. Here's how it actually works. You connect your wallet to GenWealth. You're completely in control. There are no intermediaries. You deposit some or all of your crypto into what's called a vault. This is just a small contract wallet. You still control everything. You can still spend your crypto normally. You can still add assets. You can still update the rules at any time. While you're alive, it's completely your money, completely your rules, completely your security. Then you set up inheritance rules. You say, I want 50% of my ADA to go to my daughter. I want 30% to go to my son. I want 20% to go to my favorite charity. You can specify exactly which assets go to which beneficiary. You can use percentages or specific amounts. You can name multiple beneficiaries or just one. GenWealth creates access tokens, which are basically digital proof that each beneficiary can claim their share. Now here's the security layer. You set what's called a proof of life deadline. Every few months or every year or whatever time frame you choose, you log into GenWealth and you prove that you're still alive. It's literally just you connecting your wallet and confirming that you're still here. If you keep doing that, the inheritance rules never activate. Your family can't touch the money. Your assets are completely yours. You have total control. But then let's say something happens. You pass away, you get into an accident, you're in a coma, you can't log in to prove you're alive. You missed the deadline. Then your beneficiaries can connect their wallets and claim their inheritance automatically. No lawyers, no delays, no estate taxes eating your wealth, no probate courts. Just smart contracts executing your wishes exactly the way you wanted them to. And while you're alive, you have complete control. You can still spend your crypto normally. You can update your beneficiaries at any time. You can add more assets. You can increase percentages or decrease them. This isn't locking your money away. This is adding a safety layer on top of self-custody. That alone is revolutionary. But here's where GenWealth gets really interesting. There's a second feature called recovery, and this is honestly the genius part. Let's say tomorrow you lose your seed phrase. You panic. You think you've lost everything. For most crypto holders, that's game over. everything is gone forever. But with GenWealth, it doesn't have to be. You can set up what's called safety wallets. These are multiple wallets that you control spread across different devices, different security models, different locations. You give GenWealth permission to use these safety wallets as a recovery mechanism. So let's say you have 3 wallets. Your main wallet where you do most of your trading, a backup wallet on your hardware wallet, and a third wallet stored somewhere completely different. You link all 3 to GenWealth as safety wallets. If your main wallet seed phrase is lost or compromised, you don't lose everything. You can use any of your other wallets to recover your funds. As long as you have access to one wallet that you've linked to GenWealth, you can regain control of everything. This is huge because it actually increases security. The traditional crypto model says, lose your seed phrase, lose everything. But GenWealth is saying, lose one seed phrase, that's okay, you've got backup options. And it does all this without introducing intermediaries. This isn't some company recovering your funds for you. This is you using your own wallets, leveraging smart contracts to secure your own future. That's self-custody evolved. Now I know the question is probably in your head, why Cardano? Why build this on Cardano instead of Ethereum or Solana or any other blockchain? There are actually several important reasons. And understanding them tells you a lot about why I think Cardano is positioned differently than other blockchains. First, ISO 20022 compliance. I know that sounds boring, but it's actually critical infrastructure. ISO 20022 is the international standard for finance messaging that's used by banks worldwide. Every bank on the planet uses ISO 20022 to communicate. Cardano is already ISO 20022 compliant. This matters because when GenWealth is ready to work with traditional inheritance firms and financial institutions, it can integrate seamlessly into existing banking infrastructure. That's not hype. That's actual infrastructure compatibility. Second, security through design. Cardano uses a functional programming language, which mathematically reduces the chances of bugs and vulnerabilities. For a financial application that's handling generational wealth, that matters a lot. A single smart contract bug on Ethereum can cost millions of dollars. We've seen it happen. Cardano's design is specifically built to reduce those kinds of risks. Third is the philosophy. Cardano is fundamentally built around individual responsibility and empowerment. The network prioritizes security and sustainability over hype and speed. It prioritizes getting things right over getting things fast. That's exactly what you want for an inheritance protocol. You don't want fast and broken. You want slow and reliable. And fourth, Cardano has 7 years of proven operation. Since launch, the network has run continuously. No major hacks, no smart contract exploits that destroyed the ecosystem, no major outages. It's battle tested. That track record matters when you're literally securing generational wealth. The great wealth transfer is happening. We're not talking about something that's coming in 50 years. We're talking about something that's starting right now. Baby boomers are already passing money to millennials. That transfer is accelerating every single year. By 2030, it's going to be a flood. DeFi is maturing. We've moved past the point where DeFi is just speculation and yield farming. Now DeFi is becoming infrastructure. We're seeing institutional money move in. We're seeing traditional finance integrate DeFi into their systems. This is becoming how money actually flows. Institutional adoption is accelerating. Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs are now open. Family offices are building crypto strategies. Pension funds are starting to allocate to digital assets. The institutions know this is happening. They're not fighting it anymore. They're integrating. And regulatory frameworks are actually becoming clearer. This is huge. For years, the problem was uncertainty. Regulators didn't know what to do. Everyone was walking on eggshells. Now regulations are actually being written. You can see what the rules are going to be. Markets hate uncertainty, but they can price in regulation. And through all this, blockchain technology is finally mature enough to actually handle real-world inheritance problems. Not theoretical problems, not academic problems. Real problems that affect real people and real money. GenWealth isn't just solving an interesting technical problem. It's positioned perfectly at the intersection of 3 huge trends. 1, generational wealth transfer worth $84 trillion. 2, the rise of self-custody as financial severity. And 3, blockchain becoming actual infrastructure instead of speculation. This is the moment where you can't build this on Ethereum alone, or Bitcoin alone, or some centralized system. You need a blockchain designed for both security and institutional integration. That's Cardano. Let me talk about the market opportunity because it's generally staggering. Cardano currently has 4.8 million wallet addresses. Now, if just 10% of those users adopt GenWealth, and honestly, for something solving such a critical problem, 10% is a completely reasonable adoption rate. That's 480,000 wallets managing inheritance and recovery, each one generating multiple transactions, multiple interactions. That's around 17.28 million transactions related to inheritance and recovery just on the Cardano network. But that's just Cardano users. The real opportunity is the traditional inheritance market. We're talking about $84 trillion in generational wealth transfer happening over the next 20 years. If GenWealth captures just 1.5% of that, less than what traditional lawyers are already capturing, that represents $63 billion in assets per year moving through Cardano. Think about what that does to the network. Suddenly, you're not just seeing speculative crypto trading. You're seeing multi-generational wealth actually stored on Cardano. Tokenized real-world assets. Insurance firms integrating. Inheritance professionals building on top of GenWealth. You're looking at genuine economic activity moving on-chain. That's infrastructure. That's what changes everything. Now here's what matters. GenWealth isn't being built by randos who just learned about blockchain last month. The team has real experience in both the crypto and traditional finance spaces. Rafael Cardoso is the project manager. He previously launched an online will creation app in the UK called Will Easy. He's got relationships with actual inheritance firms and professionals. He literally knows this industry inside and out. He's also been active in Project Catalyst, which is the governance and funding mechanism for Cardano since 2021. He understands the Cardano ecosystem. He knows how to navigate it. Leo is the lead developer. He's got 4+ years of blockchain development experience. He was the lead developer of Anita BTC, which is currently the largest wrapped Bitcoin DApp on Cardano. He literally pioneered smart wallet technology on Cardano, the exact technology that underpins GenWealth's recovery mechanism. He shipped projects that work at scale. Leah is the UI and UX designer. She's got 9 years of design experience, specifically in Web3 applications. She understands how decentralized platforms need to work. She's building something that actually works for real humans, not just developers. And the team is part of a CV Labs accelerator program, which provides serious resources, serious network access, and serious credibility. These aren't hobbyists. These are builders with skin in the game. Here's what most people don't realize. GenWealth isn't vaporware. It's not some white paper that might someday become a product. They've actually built and launched an MVP. It's live. They've tested it with actual crypto users. They've tested it with inheritance firms. They've gathered real feedback. Based on that feedback, they're now building version 2 with a more robust architecture that supports features like DeFi integration, so you can have yield-generating assets in your inheritance vault. And executor permissions, so professional estate executors can verify and manage wills without ever controlling user assets. They're currently in Project Catalyst Fund 15, asking for more funding. I'll share the link in the description if you want to check them out. Give them a vote if you can. This is a team that already proved they can execute. Now they're scaling it.